No one wants to be put in that situation where you didn't capture what you needed to, especially on a once in a lifetime moment. The night after, if I didn't capture like the first kiss, I would probably cry myself to sleep. Now that I've done enough weddings, I know what to get. Yeah. I know the moment when the bride and groom are saying their vows. Prepare for that first kiss moment. Prepare for it, and don't just for weddings. You have to get like those moments of celebrations, happiness. The reception is the fun part because that's when everyone has a little bit to drink. They kind of let loose and they're actually wanting to be in front of the camera and they're like, take a picture of me, like carrying this person on the chair, and it gets crazy and fun.
In the heart of Colorado Springs, where innovation thrives and opportunity sings, the COS Business Podcast takes the stage. Stories of success, wisdom on every page. Entrepreneurs, leaders, all share their tale. Through trials and triumphs, they prevail. From small town dreams to big city lights, we're shining bright, reaching new heights.
Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, #1 podcast in Colorado Springs.
Our highlighted sponsor of the day is Awesome Home Services.
Nice.
Yeah. What's their website? Do you know it?
I think it's just awesomeservice.com, but we'll double check that. But it's owned by Brandon Nuffer. He's a really good guy in town. Brand new business. I mean, they've been around for less than a year, I believe. Yeah. And they'll be on the show later this year, I believe, as well.
Yeah, you may even have started seeing their trucks around, their work vans.
You have a big old sun in their logo, just kind of like our other sponsor, Home Day, right?
That is true, yeah. And I did that logo, the Home Day one.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Well, today we have a very, very special guest. It's my girlfriend, Danielle Luna, with Danielle Luna Photography. How you doing, baby?
Hi, hon.
Yeah. Well, you've been around for quite some time as far as in the background of the show for the past several years now, even in the old studio. And we had you on last year, kind of on a whim. We had a cancellation, if you remember correctly. And
this was on a whim too.
But we had
more
days.
than 48-hour heads up.
Oh yeah, I got to actually get dressed this time.
Last time was an hour, like heads up. Not even that. I think you didn't even know it walking into the building, right?
Yeah, that's why my hair was like all in pigtails.
You had the braids on. You had the braids going.
I had the braids going. Oh,
yeah.
Party foul.
Well, and I like that hoodie that you're wearing too, as well.
You. So yeah, this is
Hurley, right?
Red Mojo Marketing. And that's Marcus's marketing company. So got to represent for Marcus. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing the earrings that I want to wear. Andrew's wearing an earring for his 4D printing.
Yeah, 40 chest
printing.
Yeah.
Show the logo right there. It's actually
really
cool.
Logo. Yeah.
We're at it.
So always representing for the guys, and Edgar's in the background waiting for his material for us to wear. So.
His 15 minutes of fame on the podcast.
Oh,
he got another podcast invitation evidently, and he says he might go on that before ours, which is pretty disrespectful. But we'll talk about that later. Most definitely.
He's not going to go on it. He's just saying that.
This punk, man. Well, you have a name change, right? It was Elevated Passion Photography, and now it's Danielle Luna Photography. So talk through that, and talk through now officially your first year in business into year 2, I believe now, right?
Year 2, yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that and those changes.
Yeah, the name change. So when I first started my business, my photography business, it was all just brand new. And I was like, what is a really, really good name that I can use? Like hiking. So to elevate, you got to hike up a mountain. So Elevated, I have a passion for everything, pretty much everything that I do. And then photography, that's
self-explanatory.
Yeah. So I thought that it was a really good name to use, and it's still a wonderful name. It was a great name to use at the very beginning, but I'm starting to see more people know me as a person, and for them to know me and want to support what I do. That's the reason why I changed my name to Danielle Luna Photography. It's easy to find. It's easy to be like, okay, if someone messed up these photos, it's Danielle Luna. So, it was kind of, when you start a business, it's like, what do I do? How do I first start? What should my name be? How is it more recognizable? So it's stuff like that you really have to put thought into. I wouldn't jump right into a name. I would really just try to think about it first, just so you don't have to go through the rebranding, the name change. With the name change, I had to change my website, and that's completely brand new too. So but that's the whole story with the name change. And
Yeah.
I mean, you as an entrepreneur, you've been through some name changes for your marketing companies. I mean, it was first Paint It Red, right?
Yep.
And then it went to Recon. We
Yeah.
still have Recon going, which is also an amazing marketing company. And now we have Red Mojo getting up and going. So that's good. And Andrew, for you, did you ever go through like that change of like, this is a really good name. Actually, this is getting more like more audience.
Yeah, I mean, this was actually going to be a bust printing company, like doing bust, and then I thought of the name 4D Chess, and I was actually going to try to. It was interesting how the chain of events happened, because I wanted to actually change the name, and then I realized I could just change the niche and keep the name because I already paid for the business name, I already paid for all this stuff. So I was like, I'll just keep the name and just change the niche. So instead of changing the name and rearranging everything that I just spent like a month working on, I changed my focus, my niche. So which was easier because I'm still so new at this and still figuring out a lot of going on with that. But yeah, Beam of Visuals, I changed the logo like so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I still I have like a very basic logo, and I'm still not happy with it. I'm waiting for something that I'm just like, okay, this really describes me, because mine is like a camera and then the mountains. Like I said, I love the mountains. So there's like a mountain range in the lens, and then it says Danielle Luna Photography. But I'm like, this doesn't scream me. Like it isn't what I want. So going through that. But I think everyone who's starting a business, they go through that.
A business is like a person that changes with time. You know, it's just like who you were at 18 is definitely not who you are now. You know, same with me and most people. That's why like an EIN number, when you register a business with the IRS, it's essentially the social security number for your business. And so it is kind of like its own entity. It stands and gets taxed on its own, same thing. I mean, there's tax implications for different things, but essentially it is like its own entity. And I love that you put Danielle Luna Photography. We've never really talked about this, which is kind of funny, but I have a huge, Alex Ramosi, who I follow, Andrew follows as well. He has a big thing about personal branding and how that's why he actually got in front of the camera. He was already very successful before he was essentially in front of the camera. He saw it was like Kylie Jenner. It was one of the big, whichever one has the makeup company. I think it's Kylie.
It's Kylie, yeah.
Yeah, he saw her, he was like, oh my gosh, like here's this gal that come out of nowhere, make a makeup company and then become a billionaire out of nowhere. And then he saw The Rock and he saw all these people with big personal brands offer these different things and have Terramana tequila and then do that. So like personal branding is a big piece. And you're right, like your name is attached to your business. Most people probably didn't even know Elevated Passion Photography. They knew Danielle Luna with her camera.
Right. And like I was telling Andrew, once I changed my name, I started seeing like more of my family members, more of my friends following my page. I think when I was originally sharing, even though I'm like, this is my business, they're like, okay, like I see this random photographer, I don't know who this is. Now they kind of like put the name to the business.
Yeah.
So,
and it's been super awesome to watch you through. And sometimes it's hard for me because like in business, it's almost like a kid, like you have to have them, like your own child is what I'm saying. Like you have to have the people that you really care about go through their own mistakes or go through their own things, because that's how most of us learn best in anything in life. And it's just been really cool just to see you actually go over some of those obstacles in your first year in business. And like, not only that, like reinvest in your business really, really quickly. You started Elevated Passion Photography essentially with your old Canon, right? That was like the first camera.
Yeah.
And then you moved up to Sony A7 II. And then you moved up to recently to another additional camera, really, but it's your A7 III, and that one's been fire. That one's been really good.
We're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Storybook Destinations.
Storybook Destinations makes planning your magical Disney vacation effortless. From Disney cruises to Disneyland and beyond, they handle all the details so you can focus on the fun. Visit StorybookDestinations.com to start your adventure. That's StorybookDestinations.com.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Skip the healthcare hassle with Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Direct primary care for a simple monthly fee, putting health first. No insurance needed. Experience personalized care that's as unique as every individual. Visit PinnacleAPC.com to learn more. That's PinnacleAPC.com franchisecc.com. Franchise succeed.
Grow any business with Franchise Succeed. From development to expansion, turning small businesses into national brands through franchising. Start scaling up with a free consultation at franchisesucceed.com today. That's franchisesucceed.com.
Planet Duct. Breathe easier with Planet Duct, Colorado Springs' premier air duct cleaning service. Powerful vacuum trucks rid homes of allergens and dust. Clear the air by visiting planetduct.com. That's planetduct.com.
Epic Eyewear. Elevate style with Epic Eyewear. Innovative designs meet unmatched quality, ensuring a great look and better vision. Discover your next pair of shades at epiceyewear.com. That's epiceyewear.com, spelled EPOCH. eyewear.com.
And we're running a special discount right now, Andrew. It's COSBP 15 for 15% off your
15% off your freaking order at epiceyewear.com. We're wearing the sunglasses right now. If you're watching, listening on the audio, definitely check out the video so you can see and check out how epic they are. EPOCH.
Eyewear.com.
Eyewear.com.
Awesome Home Services. Awesome Home Services provides reliable electrical, plumbing, and HVAC services in Colorado Springs and surrounding areas. Whether you need emergency repairs for routine maintenance, they're available 24/7 to keep your home running smoothly. Visit awesomeservice.com. That's awesomeservice.com. Or give them a call at 719-370-0911 to schedule your service today. Now we will get back to this episode.
Well, my A7 II will always be my baby because that's like, even though I started out with my Canon, it was kind of like a starter camera where it's like, okay, it's kind of like very grainy. There's a lot of noise to like the photos that are in the dark. And like, of course, I'm starting with that camera. So I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. But I also realized like you do have to invest in like good equipment. So the A7 II was my upgrade from the Canon Rebel.
Rebel what?
I can't remember the model.
I would probably assume it's that Rebel 3, I bet.
It was a very, very cheap camera.
Yeah.
So it was like $500.
It's probably the Rebel 3, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's something like that. But yeah, I mean, it was a great camera to start with.
Yeah.
And that's not to knock like Canon or anything. I'm not saying that like Sony's better than Canon, but for that model specifically, and then upgrading to the A7 II, like that's
a big diff, yeah.
It's a huge difference. And you can see it right from the start. Like, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is what I needed. But for me starting, I knew that there was something wrong with that starter camera from the beginning, because I think after a couple months, I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that eye, and also recognizing like, okay, these pictures actually look like crap, and I would never want to like.
Well, retrospectively, like you probably thought they were good when you were doing them, or decent and passable. But like as you get better, you look back at your old work and you're like, man, what was I thinking? Like I do that all the time, even in design. I'm like, what was I thinking with this design or whatever? You just get better over time.
I think for me, I see things like, especially on the internet, like we sit here and we scroll through like Instagram, Facebook, and I start to compare my work with other people's work. So when I was going through that beginner stage, I still recognize like, okay, these aren't good. And I had to like put it in my head, okay, you're still a beginner, so it's okay if they're not good, but like you have to improve. So how do you improve? You ask people like Andrew and Edgar, you look up stuff online, you go to YouTube University, like, and that's been a huge resource for me, is just like YouTubing like people like Rebecca Cannon. Like she was a huge person for me to start with for the posing aspects of photography, because she did everything so flawlessly, and it was just like they had fun, and that's what you want for your photography sessions, is fun. And so once you start getting into that more, I guess like the more technicalities of everything, then that's when you start seeing that you're improving in your work. So with good equipment, with learning your camera, and with being able to know how to pose people, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I've been very blessed to be on a lot of your shoots, either as a second shooter or just like holding your stuff for you and just being there and hanging out. And so I hear things that maybe you don't hear about, like, you know, this feedback about you. And like most people, especially, I think one of your biggest things that you're just so amazing at is posing people. And again, like Danielle Luna photography is like portrait photography, weddings. And it's important for our folks to know that too, what kind of photography you do, but you do everything. But those are like your major focus. But like I said, like you learning those poses has been like really, I mean, you're so fluid with all these poses. I'm like, how does she remember or see all these things? Like an hour shoot and she's done like 15 different poses for people and families and kids and dogs. And like, that's a skill. I don't know how to do that, to be honest with you. I don't even know if I can do that, to be honest with you. So it's really cool to see you do that so naturally.
I don't even like doing it.
Yeah.
it's
Me
very
personally.
it's very like awkward too. But yeah, I mean, Marcus has been on majority of my shoots with me, and a lot of my weddings he was the second shooter for. And there's been times where I'm just like, his photos are way better than mine. So you do have an eye for photography. And like I said, if you had the time between the podcast and the marketing company and everything else that you do, working out and everything, I think that you would be able to grow in like a really, really good way for photography. So I'm very blessed to be able to call on you to be a second shooter for a wedding. I know that there's been times where I'm like, can you drop everything and do this wedding for me? And it's just like spur of the moment type of thing. So yes, I'm very blessed to have you in my life and to support me in that way. As for the posing, I think for the progress for the posing since the last time I've been on the show is you know the prompts, you know the poses, but you also have to have the eye of seeing if there's space in between family members, if something looks awkward, and being able to vocalize that. And I think that's one big thing for me with photography now is being able to vocalize, because when I first started, it was kind of like, oh, I don't want to keep telling them like what to do and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, you have to tell them, because that's like a huge thing is you go through like your edits and it's just like, oh, this person looks really awkward, or this person's hands look really weird, or why is he touching her boob? And like, it's just stuff like that. So you have to make those adjustments in order to get like the photos that you need, especially for weddings. Like I just did a wedding this past month. And I think from the very first wedding, which was your sister's wedding, where it was kind of like, I know how to pose, to like this last wedding, it's just like you can see a huge difference of, okay, you got to get the wide angle shot. You have to get the close up shot. You have to get the intimate shots. You got to get the detail shots. So also being able to get those shot lists going, because there's like so many things that like are going on throughout like the wedding day that is just like, did I forget anything? You don't want to ever go through that phase of, oh my gosh, I forgot to get the picture with the bride and her grandma who might be passing away here soon. So that's huge to be able to, for one, ask your clients, what is important during this shoot? What are some shots that you absolutely need? And then also for me, I'm the type of person and you saw me doing this, and he actually asked me the other day, are you writing a letter? And I was writing out my shot list of what I need absolutely done for like these shots. And for this last photo shoot that we did on Sunday, my client texted me and she was like, thank you so much for getting all the like necessary shots that I would have never thought of. So even if they don't think of like the necessary shots, it's always good to put it out there. If they don't want it, they can like decline it, which is fine, but at least you have it in your head, because they might be going through a lot during that day and they might forget something. So
rely on you as a professional too. I always say, like, as a marketer, with anybody who's been on my teams, I'm like, hey, they're looking at you as like the doctor. So like, you need to give the direction in this.
Right.
They're leaning on you to essentially like, if they want me to, I can control all things in their marketing department if they want me to, and I'm prepared to if they want me to. So like, you as a professional, like to have those extra poses in your back pocket, or for like this past Sunday with the client, which is funny, it was an old friend from middle school, which we didn't even know, and she didn't even know that you were my girlfriend, which is awesome. They're mentioning different things they wanted to do, and then you had it in your back pocket. Oh, okay, well, if we're gonna do that, this is how we need to do it, and do these things with your hands, or you can do this. It was just so cool to see, because it's like, that's the foundation that's already been done for you.
Yeah,
and you can tell that your experience is already there, because they're like, oh my gosh, she's so great with the kids. She's so great with the dog. This shoot had a whole family, grandparents, the kids. So it was 2 couples and then their kids as well. And then a dog that they just bought that day. So a puppy.
Everest.
Yeah, his name was Everest, little husky. And
yeah,
it's just,
they were a great
that's
family.
crazy that you're able to like incorporate all that on the whim. Cause I don't even know if you knew the dog was going to be in the shoot until maybe that day of. And this is really cool to see, because that's a talent. Like I have natural talents and abilities to capture things, but like I don't have natural abilities to be like, okay, you do this with your hands, you look this way or anything like. And I think that's what Andrew's talking about too. I'm like, I don't know if I just take pictures. And so when I'm with you, I'm just taking the pictures and you're like, post them. I'm like, that's hard for me. And so you have that natural ability and it seems like passion into figuring that out, which is really cool to see.
Right. And that's something that, like I said, I took I think a month away from photography just to get adjusted in my full-time job. And I think with that month, I start, like I said before, like on the internet, you're always scrolling through like new ideas, and that just triggers so much like passion and so much I guess creativity. For you to be like, okay, I see this and I see like what I want to do. And this is like helping me create the vision I want to create. For yesterday's shoot, I had one of my close friends and her two little boys. Her husband was out of town. And me and her literally got out of the car. I was like, and I texted her and I let her know I would never do this, but because it was Stephanie, I got out of the car with scrub pants on and a big t-shirt. And I'm like, girl, it's been a day. And she's like, girl, it's been a day. And like the kids are in the back crying. And like, what do you do in that situation? Because like all throughout the week, we're both busy. So we have to do the shoot right then and there. So it's just like, it's the afternoon time. They're sleepy. They just got home from daycare and they want to eat. And it's just like everything that's like could go crazy. And their family is so beautiful. I love, and shout out to Stephanie because she was my first client that paid for photos, and it was for a maternity shoot for Maverick. So shout out to her for always believing in me and always supporting me. But we just kind of went with the flow, and these pictures, they turned out so beautiful. They were just like, I'm like, let them do whatever they want, because you and I both know that you're tired, they're tired, and if they want the pumpkin, like let them throw the pumpkin. Like, and we got some really like cute things, but it's also going with the flow, recognizing the situation. So we got like one of my lace blankets and we were throwing it because little Maverick was like walking away and she's just like, well, come here. And I was like, wait, let's pretend like we're having fun. So they can be like, oh, mommy's having fun with Danielle. So we were throwing the blanket up in the air and they eventually like came to us and they're like, oh, I want to participate in that. So it's just like, it's stuff like that you have to think of like on the whim. And it's for kids specifically, it's just like, what would a kid want to do? They love being thrown up in the air, right? So you see a lot of the poses of like dad throwing their kid up in the air, kissing them, spinning them around, doing the airplane moments. And that's just to kind of like keep them contained. Because if you sit there and you're like, just pose, sit there, smile at the camera, they're going to be like, what the heck? I don't want to do this. This is boring. So yeah, there's that.
That's a great point. And I mean, it's kind of important for our viewers to know as well that you have a full-time job. You've always had a full-time job and you work specifically with seniors.
Yes.
The past several years has been like an independent living community. And then you've recently kind of gone back into like more memory care and assisted living. Mm-hmm. I'm sure some of that experience has really helped you in the photography space. Like you're talking about like, well, how can we get the kid to come over here? Well, sometimes, with seniors, especially at-risk seniors, there might be some of that coaxing just to help them get along with their day or be on schedule for feeding or, taking the pills or activities or all these different things. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder you're so good at this because you've been doing this for talk a little bit about that journey because I think it's really important about who you are and you've done it essentially your whole adult life.
Right. So, I work with seniors. So I had to take a deep breath because I do love them. The industry is very, very hard to work in. As you said, Marcus, I worked for independent living folks who were more able-bodied. They have like their complete wits about them. They're able to make decisions. Their brain isn't affected by Alzheimer's or dementia. So going into the industry, back into like a memory care community, you do see, and one of my questions, I have to like tell you guys this because it's something that we go through. So we'll say like you're like my interview person that I'm like, okay, come in and we're trying to interview you for a coordinator position for a memory care community. Okay. One of my questions or one of my scenarios is, okay, you are inviting me, Danielle, who is a resident in this community, to go play bingo at 2:00. So go ahead and invite me.
You want me to?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Danielle, do you want to go play?
Where's my mom?
Your mom?
Where is my mom? Why did you look at him?
This is your mom.
That is not my mother. What did you do to my mother?
Yeah.
What did you do to my mom?
Yeah.
Tell me. So it's stuff like that. And your exact reaction is how like people react when they haven't worked in the industry. So we do this thing, and I learned this at a very young age. It's called join their journey. So with Alzheimer's dementia, this disease is pretty much eating up at the brain. So the short-term memory goes first. So the long-term memory is still in their brain. That's why a lot of those folks resort back to their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So me, Danielle, who is 90-something years old, we know that my mom's gone, right? So you would never tell like an Alzheimer's dementia resident, hey, your mom's dead, because they're reliving that memory of, oh my gosh, because they think their mom's still alive. So instead, you join their journey. Oh, I think your mom went to the store. Well, what store did she go to? So it's just like moments like that where it's just like, oh, well, do I lie to them or do I join their journey? So you want to join their journey. Well, I think she went to Walmart. Let's go see if she's up front. Let's see if she got back. And the moment that they get up and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she left without me. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that either. Like, you just sit there and as you're talking to them, you could change the subject. Yeah, she went to Walmart to go get you new shoes. Oh, those shoes are so cute. Where did you get those? And then you start seeing them like talk about like where they got their shoes. And eventually they go on another subject and they forget about their mom being gone. So it's stuff like that where you have to think quickly. And of course, like seniors with dementia, it's a hit and miss for joining their journey because there's some folks that might be still looking for their mom, but they also know in the back of their head, she's not going to tell me the right thing. I have a resident who is, she was a psychiatric doctor. So she used to work in like mental like institutes. When she first came into our community, it was kind of like, I know what, I know what you're doing. So it's just like, okay, what do you do in that scenario? You got to tell them the truth and like you try to distract them as much as possible. So you have to really know your audience. And that's the same thing for photography. You got to know your audience. Do the kids like to play around? Are they more shy? Are they more outgoing? And that's for like adults too. So it's just based off who they are and what they like to do. You'll see a lot of people say, I don't want to pick my partner up. I have a bad back. I don't feel comfortable with my weight. I don't look good with this. So you have to know those type of things in order to understand what to do with your clients. So yeah.
We like to take a quick moment and thank our sponsors.
Celebrity DJ. Celebrity DJ, where you get your events your way. Weddings, corporate events, and more. Let Celebrity DJ be your director of fun. Winner of WeddingWire.com's Couple Choice Award year after year with over 100 5-star reviews. Let Celebrity DJ bring your vision for your special event to life. Online at celebrity-dj.com.
That's celebrity-dj.com.
Home Day.
Enhance your company's benefit package with Home Day. Home Day offers innovative real estate solutions that make home ownership simpler and more accessible for your employees. Discover how Home Day can add value to your benefits program at gethomeday.com.
Neon Pig Creative. Bring brands to life with Neon Pig Creative. Dazzling designs and strategic marketing make businesses stand out. Spark creativity at neonpigcreative.com. That's neonpigcreative.com.
Exponential Impact. Fuel startup success with exponential impact, mentorship, resources, and support available to amplify impact. Join a community of change makers at exponentialimpact.com.
That's exponentialimpact.com.
Fast Signs.
Fast Signs can help you with all your signage and visual marketing needs. Whether you're starting a new business or just need a signage refresh, let Fast Signs help you. Make your statement. That's fastsigns.com. Cars Helping Charities.
Cars Helping Charities is a turnkey fundraising solution for nonprofits. Cars Helping Charities allows your nonprofit to accept vehicle donations, which are sold, and then the funds go to the organization. CHC is partnering with my nonprofit of choice, Mattersville, to help them raise funds through vehicle donations. Please consider donating your car to support Mattersville. CHC will pick up any car, an old clunker you have sitting in your driveway, or a car you just don't feel like selling anymore. Make sure to visit carshelpingcharities.org. That's carshelpingcharities.org. Dream Accounting Solutions. Dream Accounting Solutions provides expert outsource accounting and CFO services to include bookkeeping, payroll, and financial consulting to help you take control of your business finances.
Whether you're a small business or an entrepreneur, their tailored services keep your finances in check. Visit dreamaccountingsolutions.com to schedule your consultation and simplify your financial future. Now let's get back to the show.
Speaking of like photography and photographers, we live in one of the most beautiful cities in America. And there happens to be a lot of photographers everywhere, right? We always say like, hey, there's a photographer in every corner in Colorado Springs because, well, we live in Colorado Springs and photography is a popular profession to have. How do you navigate that specifically? Because like, for example, like when we were first getting you into photography, like we have a page, those Facebook page, 411 and the 719 is like the community page of Colorado Springs. Everybody's on there.
Yes.
And
I actually got off of it because I got annoyed because everyone was just using it as like a
promotion.
not a promotion, a therapy thing. Like they were just like putting out their business. Like I was like, I'm so annoyed about all this.
That's a really good point actually.
Yeah.
But another thing that they also do is like, hey, I need a photographer for me, and my fiance.
it's
We
good
just
for
got
that.
engaged, and then 3 minutes later,
There's
40,
like
50
100 comments.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's hard to even like compete with that.
Exactly. So how do you
Very
compete?
hard. I mean, to be honest with you, what you do is you have to send your portfolio to them. So one thing that I see is people like you said, it's like 100 comments after like 3 minutes of like a post being posted in 411 of the 719. And it's just like, do I really, because I think I recently posted something for like our anniversary of, can I have like photographers just message me with like rates and stuff like that. And oh my gosh, my inbox was so full. I did not want to even go through any of it. So it was just very overwhelming. So one of the first things that you have to do is you have to be number one to respond. So that's always like the key. And that's the key to selling anything. As soon as you get an inquiry, you respond right away, because that quick turn and the efficiency of like the services, that's going to tell like the client everything that they need to know. Like they're on top of it. They really want my business. But also having that portfolio, because what you send is what you like, what they'll receive.
Right. Your work speaks for itself.
Exactly. So, and that's one big thing that's like I'm starting to see. So like you see photographers like Mandy Penn on there getting recommended. And I think recommendations is a huge thing too, because I could sit here and refer to myself every single day. But like if I have my past clients say Danielle did really amazing and this is why, those are the type of comments that they're really looking at, not the ones that are just like.
And if you get 10 of them, like that's really shows something to the
huge.
person asking.
And my wedding in June, it was coming from the 411 page. And I think Marcus put my name out there. And then I had my friend Lisa, who I did her wedding for. And then a couple others comment after Marcus. And that's what got me the wedding for Isabel and Patrick. So, and I was so blessed to get that because they were, for one, an amazing couple. And for two, we got some good pictures. So I think that's a huge thing, is just being recommended and having your past clients like leave reviews. If they see posts like that, just
leave a review on this podcast, please.
Yes. Danielle Luna.
and Danielle Luna too.
Yes, I will do that after the podcast.
Oh, I meant your business. Leave a review on your business.
Cut that part out.
Edit that in.
You're being a director already. She's like, no, cut that. Yeah, trim that.
My phone's been blowing up. I gotta check it. Sorry, guys. It's okay. It's literally been vibrating in my pocket since I took it off the table.
You're good. I got another one for you, because we've definitely talked about this, especially me being your second photographer. weddings is high stakes, high pressure, and everything's a fleeting moment. If you don't capture the bride walking down the aisle at the right moment, at the right angle,
It's stressful.
that's a big deal, especially to who? The bride, because she's the one who probably hired you, right?
Yeah.
It's usually their parents.
Or the parents. Okay, so even worse, right?
Yeah.
The parents, right? How do you navigate that pressure to be a wedding photographer? Probably one of the bigger high pressure, probably photography professions, like sub professions, I guess, in photography.
That pressure itself will kill you. That's one thing that I can say about like weddings is no one wants to be put in that situation where you didn't capture what you needed to, especially on a once in a lifetime moment. For me, I'm a very paranoid person, so I have to capture it or I will die. Like, not like the night after, if I didn't capture like the first kiss, I would probably cry myself to sleep just knowing that it didn't happen. So it's always in my head. Now that I've done enough weddings, I know what to get.
Yeah.
I know the moment when like the bride and groom are saying their vows, prepare for that first kiss moment. Prepare for it and don't just don't start taking a whole bunch of pictures because you never know when your shutter is just gonna like completely give out on you.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had that happen. Luckily not for like one of those
Key moments.
But it's just like, oh my gosh. And that's the reason why I got my second camera is because if something like that were to happen, then I could just pull out the second camera, get it turned on and make sure that we get those moments. But it's also understanding, I think I've worked with a couple wedding planners, but most of the time it's been the bride doing the wedding herself or the mom of the bride doing the wedding with her. So it's good to communicate with them. When is this going to happen? What are you guys going to do after this? Like, where are we going to get those like portrait photos? And it's good to just communicate. Communication will always be key. One thing that I like to do, I like to show up for rehearsals because you get to see what exactly is going to happen. Just like even taking out like your cell phone. I did this for Isabel and Patrick's wedding, but taking out your cell phone and seeing like, okay, take a shot of like what's happening right now. Like if they're doing their vows, what is the perfect place to stand for the vows? If they're walking down the aisle, what would be the best shots for like the bride walking down with her dad? So it's just being able to really understand what's going to happen during the wedding. For the reception, it's a little bit more laid back. So it's those moments of having fun. So that's where I kind of relate like wedding photography to event photography. Because for event photography, I've done a whole bunch with our friend Brian. It's not like you could be like a fly on the wall, but you also have to interact with the people who are there.
And you only have one time to get it too.
One time to get it, right? And it's just like for axe throwing, like do you take pictures of them like throwing axes or do you take pictures of them celebrating what they did? Or like those moments where I think for the Lumberjack Fest, I had like a moment where someone was flipping a person off and like it's stuff like that makes it fun. It might not be like professional for me to post on my page, but I enjoy stuff like that. And it's something that Brian's like, that's awesome that you got like this like in the moment photos.
It was a playful.
It was playful and
Bird to somebody else.
It's them having fun with one another. And like you see a lot of people in that gallery just like celebrating, or like you see this woman with a beard on because it's the Lumberjack Fest and she's like throwing the axe. So just being able to get that full range of motion of her actually throwing the axe, but also understanding what is actually happening like in that photo. So you can get her picture of her like with the axe like going back, but it's just like, who is she about to kill? If you don't show like the targets, like you'll never know, right? So that's a thing. But like for the receptions for weddings, you have to get like those moments of celebrations, happiness, and the reception is the fun part because that's when everyone has a little bit to drink. They kind of let loose and they're actually wanting to be in front of the camera and they're like, take a picture of me, like carrying this person on the chair. And it gets crazy and fun. Like we had like a mariachi band
Mhm.
for one of the weddings, and that was a huge moment because like everyone was so ecstatic to see them, and those photos came out really, really nice. So I was really proud of that. Um, the other thing for weddings, and this is for every and any photographer that needs to hear this that's first starting, check out the venue. That is huge. Thank God for Edgar. He taught me a lot about flash photography, and how to bounce like the flash off the ceiling, off the walls. Um, you have to understand what you're doing for venues that have like the darker settings.
Mm-hmm.
So if the ceilings are like these ones where it's kind of like there's pipes, it's black, and there's no wall for you to bounce like the light off of, like what do you do in those situations? That was a huge, huge thing for me. Is even to this day, I still have to like figure out like what I'm doing. Thank God I can get the shots, but it still freaks me out.
Oh yeah.
So flash photography, I can say, is something that you really have to study up on if that's something that you're gonna do as a wedding photographer or even as a event photographer.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And you've done a lot of different things. Like if you think about it, like you've done a lot of portrait photography, a lot of weddings, elopements, events. You've even done some landscape ones, and we've done some trips. Like from your learning experiences from all those different things, obviously like your main shtick is like portraits and weddings. Are those the only ones that you would do moving forward, or would you want to open up to the other types of photography out there?
So my goal is to do elopement weddings. Um, that is my ultimate goal. I love being able to just have intimate moments with, that sounds weird, intimate moments with like new couples, people who just got married. But it's just my, like, I love climbing mountains. Like that's one of my passions, is being able to climb a mountain. And like if that's what you want to do, I will hike up any 14 or even Capitol if that's something that you want to do.
If they pay for it.
That's a huge
Yeah.
thing in Capitol. Just so you guys know, Capitol is one of the deadliest peaks here in Colorado. It has its knife edge. It's something that I probably won't do on my own. But if you want to get married up there, just let me know and we'll get some classes going. But that's something that I've always wanted to do. So whether it's up in the mountains, whether it's clear like across the world, that's my goal, is to be able to get to that point where I'm so good that people are reaching out to me and they're like, I want to elope with my significant other, and I just want like there. And that's something that me and Marcus kind of like talk about, because that's my ideal wedding. Of course, we'll have our family members there, not at the actual wedding, but like celebrating with them eventually. But just something about elopements that just make me like very, very happy. And it's just like, good for you. Like you were able to do this, and you're doing it for you instead of 100 other people. Destination weddings, that's another one that I just would absolutely love doing. My first wedding was in Italy for Marcus's sister Jenny and her husband Zach. That was a great experience, just able to learn about the culture and being able to put that into the photography, just capturing like how they made the cake in front of them. And that's the Italian culture, is that the chef makes the cake in front of the bride and groom. So yeah.
It was also perfect because the villa that we stayed at is where the wedding was. So we were able to be like,
Mhm.
days before it, just be like, okay, this is the shots we want to get. This is kind of the idea of where the wedding is going to take place. And here's where we're going to be. Because one thing that's really interesting too is like when you do have a second shooter, their second shooter, like they're not the main shooter is what I'm trying to say. So like the second shooter also needs to know their place in the,
Mhm.
like in photography. We had one where we did one in Fox Run Park. It was awesome. That's my favorite park. But it was on a gazebo, and I had a fixed, the one that Edgar suggested, 85 millimeter. And I'm on a gazebo, very tight space. And it's really hard to shoot with something that's a fixed lens. That's essentially like a zoom lens for folks at home that don't know that. And so like, understanding those roles, and then you have to delegate tasks out to me because I'm your second shooter. So now you have the person working essentially for you, and you got to be like, hey, you need to hit these shots, and I'm going to get these shots. And you have to have a lot of trust.
Mhm.
How's that experience been?
With you?
I mean, I guess it's only been me, really, right?
Yeah, it's just been you. I'm just like the type of person that's like, move out of my way, I'll get it done. But you do really well. That's just I think for me as a person, I'm just like, I expect you to know what to do. This is the shots that I need from you, and I need you to get those shots. That's pretty much like, I don't have time to explain throughout the wedding day. Like, as the bride is coming down the aisle, I can't be like Marcus, I need you to go like right here, like right here. Like, and I think there were times where I'm just like, here, over. So it's just like stuff like that where I'm just like, okay, these are critical. Like we said, they're very critical moments. So I don't want to miss them. And God forbid I do miss them, I have a second shooter there that will capture them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to communicate. Once again, communication is key.
Mm-hmm.
That will always be the key to success of relationships, of jobs, friendships. So yeah.
Well, second shooter's necessary for weddings, I think. Often it is, because if you have the boys over here in their place, the men, the groom and his boys, or groomsmen, they're over there, and then you have the brides in a different location. Like the ones that I've done, they were literally like another block away from each other. So like it would be impossible for me to get them together. Like if they requested a shot and then they also requested this shot, literally you can't be two places at once.
Right. And that is hard when you are one person.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to like let your clients know too.
Yeah.
Like this
communication. Yeah.
You have to like let me know what how we can get this done without me having to run everywhere, because with me having to go from one block to another, like that's just wasting time when I could be taking pictures, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Andrew. Is being able to have that second shooter for moments like that.
Or just communicate with them. Say, hey, you got to either pay more for a second shooter, or you can only get one of them.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I've had I think for Isabel's wedding, she only had me with the girls because it was just me during that time. Marcus came for the ceremony part and the reception part, but as they're getting ready, it was just me. For this last wedding that I did, it was me and another photographer. Her name's Jessica. She did really well too, but she was with the guys, I was with the girls. So, and she was actually supposed to be there just for like the reception part. And me and her kind of teamed up, and we were able to like get everything that we needed. So it was a blessing to have her there. I'm not quite sure of her company, but a big shout out to Jessica if she ever hears this, but she did really well with that.
Did you scoot back? Because for some reason.
Oh, I think I'm just leaning back. I'm now more relaxed.
You're getting more relaxed?
Yeah.
I'm going to adjust it.
So, you've obviously, like, before you got into this whole entrepreneurial journey, you've been around many entrepreneurs, me included as your partner, your boyfriend, and you have Edgar, you have Andrew, you have numerous other friends, our friend Brian, all of which are entrepreneurs. How has that served you in your journey on day one? I'm sure there's been some good things you've noticed. There's also probably been some, I know for me personally with you, like you've seen some very hard times for me too. And so like, how has that served you in your entrepreneurial journey?
I think it served me in the way of expectations. I think for every entrepreneur, they're just like, I'm going to do this. And I wouldn't say every entrepreneur, but everyone that has the mindset of I'm going to start my own business. It's really, really hard. And I see that like with Andrew, I see that with you, Edgar, Brian, and I see it with the folks that come on the podcast too. It's not an easy gig. It's like 24/7. You have to answer phone calls all the time. I'm actually blessed to be able to be in a relationship with you where we kind of just like, for you work all the time. So whenever you work, I work. Or like whenever you work, I just take time to do what I need to do. So that helps me like build my individuality. And that's like a huge thing for relationships itself is we don't have to spend 24/7, 365 days together attached at the hip. Instead, we both have a purpose of, okay, we're in a relationship and we have our times where we could spend with each other, but we also have these priorities that we need to do in order for us to have a thriving business, or for me to do what I need to do for my full-time job. So I think that's for our relationship specifically, that's something that that has been a blessing for both of us, is just being able to go with one another. And we still work all the time, but we also spend time together, whether it's at a coffee shop, at home, on the kitchen table, like whatever it is, we're there for one another. Like I said, for the entrepreneurs, for like our friends, it's good to see their business grow, but you also see the struggles. And it's always good to have those realistic expectations of, this might happen, this might happen. I mean, we talked about some things that Brian's going through right now, and that's like, those are things that happen to entrepreneurs. And it's just like, you have to go through like all these changes in order to make them work. You have to kind of compromise a little bit. So, I mean, it's inspiring, but you do have to have that mindset of, I want this and I'm going to do everything and anything I can to make it work. So, yeah, does that answer the question? Sorry.
Most definitely. It'll throw curveballs at you that you would never expect. And like I said on a couple of different podcasts, it attacks your weaknesses. My very first event I ever did on my own, the last hour of my very first event I did, it was a 3-day event, Tiny House Festival. It used to be 3 days. Someone had a pole fall on her head and hurt her. And it was a really serious injury. And it broke my heart. I almost felt like giving up. That was like the first time I've ever actually felt like giving up and being like, okay, we need to shut this down. And it's only an hour left. And like, it really hurt me. And there was repercussions after that, legal repercussions after that, because of that. And if I wasn't prepared and had done an event, worked for an event company before that, that would have taken me out financially. If I wasn't having insurance and all those different things, it definitely would have taken me out financially. But no, I did not expect that to happen. My very first event on my own, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm almost at the finish line. This is crazy. I'm nervous if I made money or not. And then that happens. And it's just like, you just roll with the punches. And there's always going to be a time when someone else needs to pick you up. I don't care how strong you are. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know any other, I mean, besides life itself, I don't know any other experience or profession that does that to anybody. And it's a beautiful, hard thing, but it will, if you survive it and manage to keep going with it, it will build one hell of a person, one hell of a leader, one hell of a person that can problem solve and have a leadership qualities to drive other people.
Well, like for that situation specifically, like it's a learning lesson. Like if you gave up, how would you apply that to like your future festivals? Like if you decided right then and there, okay, we're just going to quit. So that took away from the people who like really truly enjoyed, traveled all across the country to come to the Tiny House Festival. That took away from their experience, but it also gave you a learning lesson of, this is what we do to keep these people safe. And like working with Marcus at the Tiny House Festival, it's a very, very stressful situation. It's a very stressful festival. And I could tell you one thing, working with Marcus and being like his right hand woman-ish for the past couple festivals, he always made sure those tents were either lowered or they're tied down. So like calling people and just making sure the vendors know, he was like, you have to. And, you know, he went through like the stuff with like the legal stuff, but it hurt him more with him as a person that happened. And that's the reason why he made those protocols for the festival, is we have to make sure that the people are safe. Like that's just who you are as a person. And like for entrepreneurs, that's a great point. Like you're going to go through like that hardship of, this is going to happen. It's not like if it happens, it's when it happens. There's going to be a hard time in your business, and you're either going to learn from it and grow from it, or you're going to completely give up. So what is worth it? Like, do you want to just give up, or do you want to learn? And that's like a huge point too. So yeah, good point, Marcus.
Yeah, it's tough, but like I said, there's so many ways to do it. It's like how many ways you shave a cat, right? The old saying of like, you can also do it in a way where you have a full-time job and you have that security and you have that time where you're able to like financially at least have a buffer, and you're not going all in, and you can risk getting yourself in some really bad financial situations. And so there's that aspect too. And that's kind of the angle that you've taken, which I've always been like, yeah, do that, because I don't want you to ever be put in situations that I might have been in the past, because it's so hard, and that does keep you up at night. And regardless of just that, entrepreneurship, like you said, will keep you up at night with all its other problems that it has.
Right.
How has having a professional job helped you in this business as far as how you treat people, how you work your business, how you operate your business, so on and so forth?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that for the last podcast that I was on too. I think customer service is always going to be number one, making sure that you're being proactive. That's a huge thing, is always making sure you're being proactive. So if the bride hasn't reached out to you, make sure you reach out to her. So let me go back, because I don't want to just keep rambling.
That's okay if you repeat some of the things from our last conversation as well.
Okay. So yeah, productivity, huge thing too, because no one wants to wait forever to get a gallery delivered. Time is everything for people. I know as soon as I get done with the photo shoot, the number one question is, when will my gallery be done? And that's fine. Those are the questions that you're supposed to be asking if those weren't answered at the beginning.
Right.
But also, I think empathy is a huge one for any type of business. Understanding what the reason is for these photo shoots, understanding what the reason is that family members place their loved ones in a community. I think that's huge, is to have empathy all throughout your life, not just business, but throughout life. Because once you start understanding a person and why they want this certain service so much, then you start understanding why you're there. And that gives you more of a passion of serving people. So for me, I'll always have a passion for serving people with Alzheimer's dementia. And it's because the disease is a terrible disease. I can't even imagine like going through as a family member with a loved one with the disease. Photography is more uplifting because you get to capture moments of joy, capture those once in a lifetime moments. So I think for both my professional job and like my photography job, it's a good balance in between, because one is very humbling and it makes you understand life, and the other one gives you life. You know, I mean, either way, like I'm happy to do whatever I have to do for both jobs, but photography is more like, it makes your heart happy. In the senior industry, there are moments that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so incredible. But then there's moments where you lose a resident, and that stuff right there, it really it tears you apart. But yeah, empathy is a huge, huge thing I've learned from my professional job. Time management. Time management will either make or break you. So always make sure that you're managing your time correctly. I know today I was able to take a little nap because September was a little busy. So I took a nap, but I knew as soon as I woke up what my priorities are, how many photos I needed to edit for certain photo shoots throughout the day in order to get them done by the amount of time that I gave the clients. So can't take 2 years to edit 5 photos, but also prioritizing, okay, which gallery comes first. If I have a month to edit this wedding session, but I only have a week to do this family session, which one would come first? So of course you want to always pay attention to like the wedding photos, get as much done as you can with them, but you also want to turn around the family photos to make sure that they're delivered on time. So understanding that, prioritizing. There's so many systems. Systems is another huge thing. So
You're not talking at the mic
There you
anymore.
go.
oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
This mic is my worst enemy. But systems are a huge thing for any company. Once you get a really good system going, then that is the key to your success. But my system might not work for Edgar's system. Edgar's system might not work for mine or Andrew's system. Like, and that's the huge thing. If you're working with someone, you have to also understand, like, okay, these systems, this is what I'm thinking. And if this doesn't work for you, what do you suggest? So communicating. We talked about communication before. Kind of all over the place today, but
No, it's true though. I think you made it really well rounded. And you talked about customer service, talking about the actual time management, the systems, all those you learned in professional career that you had. I mean, since you've essentially were 18, you've been in your same industry full time, correct? Yeah. I love it. I mean, like I said, me and my grandfather were very close. And so when I go there, I get a little piece of him back. No matter if I'm in memory care with them, whether, Alzheimer, dementia folks, well, he had dementia. So there's a level of empathy. I get gravitated towards a lot of those folks is what I'm trying to say. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think it does really, really serve you in your entrepreneurial journey. You also mentioned like time management and grinding. I essentially grind all the time. I have like a laid back way of myself, but I never stop because I have kind of my laid back way as of like, okay, well, I'm going to take my time. And she knows this about me. I take my time getting up or whatever. I read, I drink like 5 cups of coffee or whatever the hell it is. But like, I have a way of just never stopping because of it, because I'm always kind of already putting those little micro rests, I guess, in my day. It's like I can always go forever. And I'm sure it's hard to live with somebody like, I'm not giving myself like all these flowers, but it's my system of way of like, I can always work every single day. And I'm sure it's very challenging for you.
I have to laugh about it because like, even, you're kind of slow sometimes.
That's my mini vacation.
That's fine that you're like that. But like, I think because you get anxious, but like, you don't have anxiety like I have, where I'm just like, I need to, and you're just kind of like, so that's the difference between you and I. I mean, I could be like that too, but like, that's not who I am as a person. Like even today, like when I hyper focus, like, I don't want you talking to me. I don't want to hear no music. I don't want to hear nothing about Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan. Like,
what the heck?
I'm just like, I'm focused on what I'm focused on. And if I take my focus off that, then I lose it. Like, I think oftentimes you and I talk about like good workflows, like, oh, like the other day you're like, oh, I was in a good workflow at the coffee shop, which is good. But like when I get in my good workflow, I can't be interrupted. The moment that I'm interrupted, it's gone. Like it takes me a while to get it back. So, it's good that you're like that. And it's good to see you like that, because that kind of brings me back down too, where I'm just like, I don't have to be anxious all the time. But 99% of the time you're going to see me like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I have to think the first thing that I do, which Marcus is like, get up early, like, get to work early, go work out early. And I'm just like, I'm going to sleep till 7. And then I'm going to get dressed. Don't bother me while I'm drinking my coffee and getting dressed. And then I'm going to go to work. And as soon as I hit work, I'm like, bam, 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 bam. I have a certain routine and it's like working in a memory care community. You might have a routine, but it might be completely thrown off just by like, we'll say like a resident might have behaviors or something. And you just have to like, in those situations, what do you do? What's the next thing that you do? You got to think. So can't be in that routine anymore, but you have to be more in that, I guess like think fast and act quick mode. And that right there could be challenging itself because like it's easy to have a routine. Like I said, I wake up at 7, get dressed, drink my coffee. That's my morning routine. If something throws that off, then I'm all off balance all throughout the day. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges in my full-time job. There's often times where like I'll come home and I'll either work with Marcus, go to a coffee shop, work with Marcus, or I just have to just sleep. And it does take a lot out of you, especially having this past month working at my full-time job and then had a lot of photo shoots this past month. And it just like, it completely burnt me out. But I had to like, for me, my getaway is hiking. So even though it takes a lot out of me physically, mentally, I feel like my mind is clear. So you have to find that one thing that makes you happy too.
Your outlet.
My outlet. So, and Marcus's outlet is running. I know Andrew's outlet is going to Palmer Park and hiking with Marsha.
Well, not with Marsha anymore. She's too old.
With Marsha.
No, she can't keep up.
Maybe not now, but that was was a thing. So, and those are the things I know about like these guys is their outlets. So like I know what makes them happy. And if I ever see Marcus stressed out, it's like, hey, you should go for a run or you should go to Wayfinder. Shout out to Wayfinder. We saw you this morning.
Or a master bedroom.
Yeah. So anything else?
I mean, before we start closing it up, I just think that it's been so awesome. I mean, honey, just seeing you through your journey and figuring things out for yourself, because it is like a constant problem solving type of thing. You're constantly kind of finding yourself and your brand. I love the new name, of course, because it's your name and it just best serves you and what you're doing. And you built your own website. You didn't lean on me at all for building your own website. I'm a marketer, right? You've done a lot of things on your own, but you've also gotten the insights of Andrew, myself, Edgar, to help you with some of the more technical things as well, like photography or just asking questions. I'm just so proud of you for who you are and what you're doing. Working a full-time job that takes a lot out of you with these amazing folks is more than a full-time job in itself. But beyond that, you know, taking photos and highlighting people's biggest life moments is just another beautiful thing with you. And I'm just so proud of you. I really am. It's really inspiring. So it's been really great to see you grow as a person in the past. I mean, we've been together for 3 years now and we were friends before that. So I've known you even longer than that. And how you've elevated, no pun intended for elevated passion photography, but like how you've elevated as a person, you know, and it's a beautiful journey. People are watching, people are admiring from afar. I tell you this all the time, but there's others that admire and are in your corner watching and hoping the best for you. So is there anything else, man, before we give her camera time?
Indeed. I agree. I concur.
Well, I just want to thank you guys, especially like the 3 guys that are here and my best friend Kim in Tennessee and my sister. And of course, Stephanie, like I said earlier, but like being able to have people who actually believe in you and the people who help you learn, that's a huge thing. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have learned half the stuff without Edgar and Andrew, like actually like them being amazing photographers and videographers. And it's good to have like them in my corner. And then of course you, Marcus, you've always been like my number one supporter. You've always pushed me in ways that kind of like irritated me, but I knew that they were for the better. So it's great to have you as an entrepreneur and as a boyfriend on my side and like your family always supporting me. My sister, I have to give her a huge shout out. So Steph, thank you for always, you guys don't know this, but my sister, even before I started doing photography, she had me taking pictures of her and my nieces. And she always believed that I could do stuff like this. And she always like told me, you need to do photography. You need to chase after this. You need to like really press into it. And my sister will always be my number one supporter for anything that I do, anything, even if it's in the wrong, she'll try to steer me away from it, but like she'll always support me. So huge shout out to Steph and my nieces. my grandnieces too, Penelope and Nova, because they're my little baby models. But like you said, and Kim. We'll have to send this to Kim, but Kim was my number one model when I first started photography. So being able to have her and her cute self just being there whenever I called her and I said, I have this idea, like, will you be my model? She's always down. So support, that's a huge thing. And I love you guys for that. I know that we have our moments where we're just like, you're getting on my nerves, but I couldn't do it without the people here. So
thank you, honey.
Yeah.
There's your camera. Where can we find you? Instagram, website.
Okay, so my new Instagram is, I think it's Danielle Luna Photography LLC. And then my website is danielleluna-photography.com. And then you can find me on Facebook as well. Yeah, we're still updating the website and my Instagram, so there's some things to be changed. If you have any questions, just give me a holler. My phone number is on the website. So yeah, let's book some sessions. Yay.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. Yeah.
I kind of just rambled the whole time.
That's what it's meant for. So yeah, we closing it out?
Yes, sir.
All right. This has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Love it. That was good.
Andrew, you look so tired.
I am a little tired.